Hey everyone, it's Jamie from Independence Street NOLA, and I'm here to talk about the conjunction that's happening today on April 12th, 2022. It is Jupiter and Neptune, and they're going to be conjunct in the sign of Pisces, and they're going to be at 23 degrees of Pisces today. And this energy should last for about 4 weeks or so. So if you don't see this today or you hear about this a week later, you didn't miss out. um, it's really good, clickbait to be like, once in a lifetime opportunity, that kind of stuff. And on one hand, it is because this conjunction only happens about every 65 years. So on that, it is a once in a lifetime opportunity. But if you're not watching this today, you're fine. Or if you're watching it today and it sort of resonates, but you're kind of bummed out, you're going to be okay. Okay. So just know the energy's always here. You can always tap into it. So let's talk a little bit about this conjunction. So what's very interesting about this conjunction to me is that Jupiter and Neptune have both met in Pisces. They're at the 23 degrees, so that's the last part of Pisces, the last decon. So it's a mature energy, but it's also a realized energy. And for those that you don't know, Jupiter, they're always like gift, luck, but I always read it as the planet of faith because it is so big, but also when Jupiter hits things, it wants you to, to me, this is how I read Jupiter. Anyone can read Jupiter any way they want. It's okay. When Jupiter hits planets, it really goes in and talks about what is your faith in this energy? What does that mean to you? Can you take it, can you make it bigger? And so Pisces' ancient ruler was Jupiter. And so it's not surprising to me that it's the planet of faith. And then Pisces' modern day ruler is Neptune. And so here they are meeting in 23 degrees on one of the most, on one of the most holiest weeks on the planet for most religions. And not just Christianity, but Judaism as well, and other religions. And so I think it's very interesting, not surprising, but yet interesting that this is happening right now. And so let's talk a little bit about these energies and how I'm reading them, and some ideas maybe going forward. So to me, this conjunction is about the meeting of the past and the future. We are in this age of Aquarius where it is the individual first and then the community. So I really believe that if we go down the Christ consciousness route with this energy of Pisces, then it's really hitting on the idea of love yourself, love thy neighbor, stability, teach a person to fish, they can feed themselves, gratitude, community, is the fact with discipleship and things like that. I don't mean it in any of the realms like how they portray it in most themes of the Bible, but I do believe there are certain themes for sure that should be maybe thought about at this time, at least touched upon. I was thinking about Neptune and what it means today in its modern sense. In Pisces, and it means consciousness. Neptune represents consciousness. So, Pisces in its higher form is consciousness. So when you want to go through, and so that's why I'm also bringing up Christ consciousness. Does it mean that? It could also mean spiritual consciousness. It means consciousness and science, whatever it is that you hold to a higher vibration. Okay, so let's say that, like tapping into that higher vibration. It also came through when I was like kind of just sitting here collecting myself. Before this is like 19, that's interesting. Neptune to me is also higher consciousness, but also is coming through like the womb energy, WOMB energy. So I'll probably touch on that in later writings or later videos, but and it was just like, you know, Neptune is watery, the womb, consciousness, our earth is mainly water, our bodies are mainly water. At the same time, it's concentrated, right? It's just not all over the place. And when Pisces is in its lower energy, then it can just be running, you know, running around, like running water, no direction, right? But when that energy in the consciousness is collected and it's in the womb knows what it's doing. The womb knows that it's protecting something that's growing. It's protecting consciousness. It's helping consciousness grow. So I think that's the way that I was tuning into Neptune right now, and how it can be brought into this new age of Aquarius. So I've watched some other readers, and they're saying, you know, this is a great time to go out and help others. And while I do agree with that, of course, I'm always going to say it needs to come home first, just because it is in this age of Aquarius. And so, you know, Pisces, very watery energy, which is emotion and creativity. If you could think of like in the tarot, the cups, suit of cups, if you will. So and we've been talking a lot about that actually with different groups that I've been chatting with, in this 5D consciousness, which is love, right? And reaching into that 5D consciousness. And, you know, I can see how Christ consciousness in its purest form is love. And so, you know, once again, like love thy neighbor, you know, he was supposedly trying to get us to understand that there is, you know, no life after death. There is a higher consciousness. We're always connected to that higher consciousness, no matter what. And of course, you're always connected to that consciousness, no matter what, whether you see it as light or numbers or anything. So, because we're going into this idea of love, this would be a good time to write yourself love letters and fall back in love with yourself, and you know, be really creative with your ideas, and be creative with consciousness, and see, oh, okay, you know, for the past 48 hours, I just kept saying there's got to be a higher consciousness to this. There's got to be new ways to answer these questions, right? There's got to be a new way to seed in this consciousness that's coming, and those are good questions just to put out to the universe. And also, like I said, think about what it is that makes you special, what it is that makes you unique. You write yourself a love letter. You know, if you love your teeth, then you write a sonnet to yourself about your teeth. And it doesn't matter if anyone else says, man, you've got great teeth. As long as you think you've got great teeth, what that does is that brings in that high vibrational energy right into your body. It makes those molecules start to light up. And then when you're there and you know, and you're solid with your great set of chompers, you can go out and, you know, then you can go out and help people because you're in that vibration of love, you know. And no, like this is a strong month with a lot of light coming onto the planet. So there are going to be things that want to counteract that. So it's important to realize that too. And that's why it's also super important to start strengthening this relationship with yourself and consciousness, and yourself and higher consciousness. So when, you know, we get bombarded with all this other stuff that is in lower consciousness, there's a new way for us to understand it. There's a new way for us to talk about it. There is a new way for us to counteract it. So this is a big energy coming in, and it is creative, and it is, you know, full of love. But it is this higher consciousness. So just allow that to come in, and it will come in organically. Sometimes, we say like journaling prompts and stuff like that. You guys can set up a container and, work with this energy. And other times it's just when you're driving in the car. Pisces is also about dreaming and dreaming big. And a lot of times when I hear people say, well, what are your dreams? Dream big. And I forget, like, I always go to like my top 3, but there's, 5, 6, 7, 8 other dreams that I have, right? And so when those come in really clearly and organically, that's the time I start taking notes, because then I know, oh, okay, this is something that's coming in from a higher source, right? So yes, dream big and be extremely creative, mindfully at this time, especially with things that you're doing, but also be mindful for when other messages come in, maybe about projects you have on the back burner or projects you hadn't thought about in years, because we're seeding this new consciousness now too at this time. So, and we are getting in new answers, and things are going to become available that weren't before, right? And it is all about divine timing. So, you guys just be aware of this new consciousness, this higher consciousness. Be aware that it is okay to lead with your heart, especially when it comes to yourself. Tell yourself you love yourself every day. Take yourself out for a walk. Take yourself out for a dance. All these things, because the more that you feel in love with yourself, love, they always say love wins. Love is the most powerful energy on the planet. And if it can start with you within yourself, co-creating, that's really hard to beat. And it's really hard to, get out of people, like, as in, like, no, when you're like, no, I do love myself. And it's not in a conceited, narcissistic way. It's really in a beautiful, like, I love myself, and because I feel this love, it's easy to go out and help my neighbor. It is easy to go teach someone how to fish and things like that. So, higher consciousness, allow it to come in. Extreme creativity, extreme love, all these things to the extreme, because I'm an Aquarius. But let it in, you guys, with this consciousness. I think you guys are getting it. All right, it's at 12 minutes, so I'll probably leave it here. If you have any questions, as always, reach out to me, and know that, like I said, this energy is going to be on the planet. Something else is coming in. This energy is going to be on the planet the energy is always going to be on the planet, but it's really heightened right now because of this conjunction. So be sure to tap into it. And also, if you're feeling a little sensitive, be aware of that. I was kind of making the joke of, well, yeah, I'm sensitive. I'm going out and helping all these people. Next thing I know, my ass is thrown up on a cross. So you can see why this energy might be a scooch sensitive. So if you're trying to work with others and it's not coming off as planned, that's a good time to, like, tune back into yourself and realize, like, other people are going through different things, right? And they're trying to figure things out. So it is a good time to be, bring that energy back in, bring that, I want to say Christ consciousness, but I don't want to alienate either, but that higher consciousness in, and bring it into your heart and see how you can get it really moving so we can put it out on the planet. Okay, you guys, I'm in Alabama this week to be with my family for, Easter and all that jazz. So if you guys need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. And happy Jupiter, Neptune conjunct in Pisces.